In previous videos, we looked at overriding various components of a feature module by using hooks, and this way we could use a shared feature module that could have the same base regardless of where it was, and we wouldn't have to actually modify that code, making future updates more difficult. But sometimes we can simply copy a feature and make it our own module because we don't necessarily need to pull in future updates to the basic module. This will still save us a lot of time in the initial setup process, and from then on out, we'd have the flexibility to do with that particular feature module whatever we needed to do with it. So what we're going to do is actually take an existing feature module and clone it. And this takes a few steps. If you've ever copied a module to use as a base for another module, or copied a theme to use as a base for a custom theme, the process is going to be the same. We'll first copy the folder, we'll rename the files, and then we'll rename any references to those files and any function names within the files. So let's go ahead and do the first part, which is copying the feature. Now I'm here in the Drupal site directory, and inside of the sites, all modules, features folder, we have a couple of feature modules we can work with. I'm going to go ahead and clone this articles feature, though you can use the example blog feature if you haven't been following along. This one is from our resource pack. So I'm going to duplicate this. On Mac, there's a duplicate option, but we can simply copy and paste. And I'm going to rename it New Articles. Now this is going to be the name of the new module. So I'm going to copy that name, and I'm going to go through each file here and rename it. Okay, so now when we look, every file begins with new articles, and we just need to make sure that any .features include files are not completely renamed, just the first part before the initial period is renamed to the new module name. Then we have newarticles.info and newarticles.module. Let's go ahead and begin by modifying the .info file. I'm going to open this up. So the only two things we need to change here is the name of the module and the description. We'll call this new articles. And then let's go ahead and leave the description as is. I'm going to save this file. And then I'm going to jump back to our features module directory. And I'm going to open up the .module file. Now there's just one line here we need to change, which is this include once to not say articles.feature, but new articles.features.inc. We'll save that. And from here, we simply need to replace the function names on all of the files. So I'm going to open up one of these files to show you an example. So this function here is articles field default fields. And this is an implementation of a hook field default fields. And so this hook part, or this articles part here, needs to be renamed with new articles. And we're just going to continue to do this for all of the functions. So in my editor, there's a tool to be able to search and replace across multiple files, and chances are your editor has something similar. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the location of this features module inside of the directory browser in my editor. Okay, so here we are at new articles, and I'm going to right click it and do a replace. And what we're going to do is look for a pattern that indicates that it's a function name. Now if we replaced every instance of the phrase articles with new articles, we'd find that some of the replacements that we made weren't intentional. They replaced the name of a content type, for example, or reference to a permission. So we need to make sure when you do a find and replace that we're specifying a pattern that's only for functions. So I'm going to use function, articles, and then an underscore. And this should tackle any of our hook functions. And we'll replace it with function, new articles, with an underscore. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a replace all, and this will go through each file and tell us how many replacements there are. We have 4 files that there would be replacements in, and in each one there's just a single replacement. I'm going to go ahead and click on Make Changes. And now if we open up any of these include files, we should see that any of the function names now say new articles. Okay, I'm just going to open up another one here to take a look. We have new articles. At this point, we've successfully cloned the module. It's a completely separate module. And so if we go back to our browser and we go to Structure and then Features, we'll see that we now have our new articles module here. Now, if you notice, the checkbox here is disabled. and the state is conflict. What this means is that this shares components with an existing feature that's enabled, and components can only be associated with one enabled feature module. We can still have disabled feature modules that share components, but we can't enable it until we disable the feature modules that are taking care of the components that this module is going to take care of. So we need to first disable this articles feature and click Save Settings. And now, even though both of these have a state of conflict, we can still enable one of these to bundle the components. Then I'll click Save Settings. And when the page refreshes, we see that we're now using our new articles feature. We're all set here. And now we can modify this however we need to. Let's go ahead and clean up by adding our new feature module and our feature module override module from our previous videos into version control. So I'm going to jump back to the command line, and I'm going to make sure I'm in the development environment. And I'll do a quick git status here. It shows that we have our two modules, our blog override module and our features module, that haven't been added to version control yet. So let's go ahead and add these. I'm going to do a git add, and then I'm going to copy the path to the blog override module. Again, this is the one where we demonstrated the hooks that override an existing feature without modifying it directly. And now let's go ahead and add our new articles module, which is the features module that we just created, which is a duplicate of our articles feature module. Now again, we're on our develop branch here, so we want to make sure that we're committing to this branch. We're doing it directly rather than creating a new feature or topic branch for these edits. But if we wanted to maintain a track record of these modifications in a separate branch, we could go ahead and do that. But we'll keep it simple for now. I'm going to go ahead and do a git commit, and my message will be added blog override and new articles modules, and then I'll hit enter. And then if we want to go ahead and sync this with the remote, we can just do a git push. Okay, now we're updated with the remote.